Welcome to the podcast. We are Curb Appeal Realty out of Hendricks County. You can find us on the web at curbappealrealty.net. So today we are going to talk about some seller no-nos, seller don'ts. So Heather is going to lead us in this segment, and she is going to talk about all the things you should not do as a seller. Remember, we're on your team. We're here to help you. We're not trying to be too bossy, but we are experienced and we are the professionals, and we're trying to help you sell your home. So take it away, Heather.
Okay. The first thing is do not stay for the showing. It does make buyers feel uncomfortable. Sometimes I know it is impossible for you to leave your home. If you need to step outside and maybe even go to the backyard, just so you're not right in the space that the buyers are in as they are walking through your home. Don't ignore those obvious repairs. That's going to be something that a buyer will notice when they walk in. Small fixes now prevent big problems later. Don't overprice the home. It'll sit on the market, and people will think that something is wrong with that. I'm sure both of you have had some experiences with that. Or you look at a listing when you're looking for a buyer, and you're like, oh, that home's, the neighborhood's been selling fairly quickly, but this home has been sitting here for a while. Wonder why.
Mm-hmm. And that doesn't always mean that something is wrong with it. So, yeah. Right. But it is hard to, get past that thought because,
Going back to the very first one that you said. So I have a funny story. So I had a buyer. We were out showing homes. And, of course, we as agents are probably showing more than one house to our buyers that day. So we get to the first home, and we had been warned, seller may be home. So I'm like, okay, all right, I'll deal with that. So I thought, well, maybe he'll step outside, but he greeted us at the front door before I could even get the lockbox open. So he was there, and he's very proud of his home, and he should be. He's worked hard for it, but he then became the agent. He was large and in charge, and he was telling us every single thing about this home since he had lived there, which was a long time. He had this contraption downstairs in the basement that was I would describe it as kind of a zip line clothesline. It would actually retract into the wall. I'd never seen anything like it. This was an older home. And he proceeded to show us this retractable clothesline and hook it onto the other side. And I had young buyers, and they were probably never going to use this clothesline. So I was trying to be cordial, and they were nodding their heads. I'm looking at my watch. I'm going to be behind. The rest of my showings are going to be so messed up because normally we schedule, every 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes.
And you account for the drive time.
Yes.
Exactly. So I am sitting here going, how am I going to get out of this? So this is a very, very important one about if you are the listing agent on that one, shame on you. Should have never let that seller stay. So yeah, we got the entire lowdown, and I finally had to speak up and excuse ourselves and say, we appreciate all the information that you've given us on this home, but we do have some other homes that we have to go see. And so it was kind of a disaster. And needless to say, they did not buy that home. But maybe they would have, but they were just so overwhelmed by all of his. Yeah, it was a disaster. So
they don't feel comfortable to look around and to look for things that they would normally look for because the seller is just there in their face. So yeah, it's definitely not doing anything to help the sale of the home. So.
No.
Yeah.
No, and it sat for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And I can imagine that was probably why. They probably felt like, we're going to have to move in with him.
He's not going to go.
Yeah, he comes with the house.
No, he's going to move move in with
So
them.
yeah, they could never see themselves living there
Right,
because you know, whoever, Charlie, lived there still. So anyway, that just came all flashing back to me as soon as you said that.
Very interesting. Also, a good thing is to put away your personal items, especially those calendars and maybe some addresses that are sitting around. Those are things that, I mean, personally, you don't or may not want a buyer to see and know when you are coming and going from your house. But and especially, you know, like some pictures. You can leave some of them, you know, out because you do live in your home still. But just remember the buyer needs to picture themselves in your home. Don't forget to clean. Now is one of my biggest ones that I always tell sellers. I know that lives are hectic and, you know, we're going here and there. And most of the time now, moms and dads both work. But just, I mean, when you commit to listing your house, you want to sell it. So just making sure that you're trying to tidy it up and keep it clean is very big. And don't take those negotiations personally. Remember, you've lived in your home. You've made the memories. They have not started their family or their home. That's not their home yet. And they will make their memories there. And things that are important to them or that are important to you may not really be important to them. So those are just some things that you have to remember when they're, you know, you're negotiating with over things that you're going to take or things that you're going to leave or the price. You just can't take it personally.
And they are really just wanting to get the best deal.
Right.
It's not personal.
Right.
You know? So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I always tell my sellers, you know, you have to think like a buyer. You know, everybody wants a deal. Everybody, you know, so, you know, they're going to be the same way when they go out house hunting, you know, to buy something,
Right.
you know. So, yeah, when that offer comes in and say it is 10,000, you know, we'll counter. Let's just counter. You know, let's not just, you know, not do anything and not counter back. You know, let's at least counter and see what happens. Sometimes sellers do get really offended, and we hope that's not you. So, like I said, we're on your team. But, you know, we need to use our negotiation skills and we need to counter those offers and not just let them die. I always explain to sellers that selling a home is like a slow chess game. We have to keep playing the game until they quit. Let's not us quit. Let's let them quit. So you put your best counter out there and just see what happens. You know, what can you live with? What can you, you know, walk away with? This is your bottom dollar. And let's see what happens.
I saw recently where a buyer put in a very low offer, and then the seller just did nothing. They didn't respond. So then the buyer put in a little bit higher offer and nothing again. And I mean, and then I saw a couple months later that the house was taken off the market and it's now a rental again. I mean, it was a rental before. But I mean, you never know. Like, what if they would have countered and then we did some countering back and forth and then everyone ended up being happy in the end, you know?
Right.
So I feel like you should, like you said, just always counter because you never know.
Yeah. I mean, it is, you know, we don't take selling real estate as a game, but like I said, it is a slow back and forth sometimes. I mean, sometimes it's quick, you know, sometimes you make a really good offer, it gets accepted, great, you know, but sometimes it is a negotiation and you just have to kind of, you know, play it out, let it play out.
Right.
What are some other, let's go on to buyer don'ts.
Yes.
And we covered some of these in another segment with our lender partner. But let's talk about them again.
Okay, don't go out and buy a big purchase. If you've been pre-approved and you go out and buy a new car or you go and get something, you know, really expensive that you're going to be making payments on, that's definitely going to change your debt to income ratio. Don't switch jobs if you can at all help it. Because that will, a lot of times they need you to be on a job for a year to show the your income and all of that.
I will say that I have a buyer now who just got a new job, which is great, more money. And I was worried about that, but I spoke with the lender, and because it's in the same field that she was in, then it's okay.
Right.
So there
Okay.
are exceptions, but yes, definitely don't just, change careers because that will be an issue.
Okay.
So yeah.
You got to be careful about making large deposits and pulling out large amounts of money, those withdrawals, because you'll have to show proof of, what are you using them for, or where did those deposits come? The bank needs to make sure that you can, or your mortgage needs to make sure that you can afford that loan. They don't want to think that, Uncle Bob gave you, $20,000 just to make your bank account look higher so you could qualify for that loan. They need to be able to prove that you're going to be able to afford the payments on that. Don't skip the pre-approval step. One thing I'm pretty big on not wanting to take a buyer out until I know that they're pre-approved, and it's not even just for my sake, in the time, it's really for the buyer. I don't want my buyer to get really excited, start, looking at homes, getting their hopes up, and then realize that they can't afford, the amount that they're wanting to spend, or even that they need to wait 6 months to a year. So that pre-approval is really big, and some sellers won't even look at an offer without a pre-approval.
Yeah. And I will say also, always factor in the cost of utilities and HOAs, and if you just want money to live on, because a lot of times you'll get pre-approved for a pretty high amount, but you really don't want to make that monthly payment every month. So just make sure you factor everything in, and you may be approved for $400, but you want to, stay at like $325 just so you have money to live on, because nobody wants to be house poor.
Right. Exactly. Yep. You get a vacation in your home every day.
Yep.
So yeah. What else?
Buyers don't lowball. You need to look at the market. You need to trust your real estate agent that they're going to explain to you what the homes are selling for in the area. Yes, you can try and get that deal that you're hoping for, but if you want a seller to really work with you because it's a home that you're absolutely in love with, be realistic and give them a realistic number, and not just go in and be like, oh, I'm just going to lowball $25,000 just because I want a good deal. So because they may not want to work with you at all.
Yes, because we did cover a little bit of that in the seller. Don't get offended, but we don't know all these sellers out here when we're working with buyers, and sometimes those sellers will get so offended. Mm-hmm. And if you do come back with a reasonable offer, they won't even look at it because they're so mad at you from the first offer, and then from there it just goes downhill. It's like, okay, then if they did accept your offer, then they're going to really give you a hard time on inspections. I mean, it snowballs because you've offended them from the beginning.
I would try to think, put yourself in their shoes. Like, if you had your house on the market, would you want an offer for $100,000 less? Probably not. Yeah. So yeah.
It's
try to be reasonable.
Yeah. So, and sometimes, we want to help you as buyers, but sometimes, you just need to listen to good advice, and you can't get all of your information from the internet and TikTok and ChatGPT. You have to really listen to, good, sound real estate advice. And that's what we give. So, there's, and your lender's going to help you too. Your lender's going to help you. We're all a team.
Right.
And so, you just have to know that we're all for you, and that, we have your best interest at heart.
As a buyer, I would never waive an inspection. I know sometimes you may walk through the house and you're like, oh, it's only 2 years old. There's probably not that much wrong with it. Or I really don't have the extra $600 to spend out of pocket. That may cost you later. So it's really a good idea to just go ahead and spend the $600 so you know exactly what you're getting and what you're buying.
Yeah, I have one last story here. It wasn't my buyer, but I heard a story. It was a brand new construction home, and it was an agent friend of mine, and they weren't going to have an inspection, but they decided to. And they found out that there was zero insulation in the attic, zero. And it was just an oversight on the builder. And, they sometimes in neighborhoods, they're just putting one after another up and they're doing it rather quickly. And so, of course, your builder's going to, fix all those things that are, it's a brand new home. Mm-hmm. They should. So I would always encourage on a brand new build, get an inspection anyway, even if they say, we're the best builder in town. Get that home inspection, because all you have to do is turn that report over and they will fix those items. So, because they want a good reputation too. Right. So I'm just saying, you just never know.
Right.
I agree. Okay, well, that ends our segment today on seller don'ts and buyer don'ts. And we hope you've learned something, and we appreciate you listening in.
Oh, 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 oh.